Hello again. Welcome to our series of NCAA Regional previews at Southeastern 16. I'm Chris Lee, joined by my co-host Alfred Ezman. Today, we talk the Nashville Regional. That will be hosted by Vanderbilt, which, boy, did the Commodores ever sneak in and grab the number one seed. They were on nobody's board as a one at any point until about the last week of the year. But Vanderbilt was so steady throughout the season. It is not the star-studded Vanderbilt team that you've seen in the past in terms of just a bunch of guys that are going to go first round this year. It's got some further down the line. We'll talk about them later. But just a team that was oh so consistent, pitches and defends at an elite level. The Commodores will be getting in their first game Wright State, a team that I feel like is a perennial regional participant. And in between, either Louisville or East Tennessee State in Game 2. Vanderbilt Louisville played once this season. ETSU, a team that hits a ton of home runs and actually knocked off Tennessee earlier in the season in midweek, the first team to beat Tennessee this year. And a team that won its conference tournament but would have been potentially in the mix for an at-large. Alfred, interesting regional here in Nashville. Not a cakewalk for the Commodores. They'll be favored, and rightfully so. But there will be some challenges along the way.
There will. I thought East Tennessee State would be heading to the other State of Tennessee regional location, and that didn't turn out to be the case. That was one of the first shocks I had during the reveal show today. I don't know if you had the same feel, Chris, but that was the big one. Expected Louisville, and yeah, like you said, Wright State is pretty much in the NCAA tournament every year, no matter what. They get in there blindfolded. So always a team you got to watch out for. Nonetheless, though, I hate to spoil at the beginning. Vanderbilt, like Wes May said on one of our reactions, don't have to be afraid of anybody right now. Without that being the case, though, this is still a team regional with some decent teams in it.
Yeah, we'll see what Wright State does pitching-wise. Cam Allen has been probably their best pitcher, 61 in the third innings, 5.43 ERA, but gives up a lot of base runners. He's been pitching out of the number 2, and Jarrett Holman, I think, has been there 3, 44 and 2/3, a 4.84 ERA. Michael Grogan has been their guy lately in game 1 situations. That may be more of an opener than a starter. 41 in the third innings pitched with an 8.49 ERA. So the Raiders, be interesting to see what they do with their pitching. The lineup for them is going to be mostly lefties. In fact, I think Wright State might start 6 lefties if they go with their normal lineup. And that kind of plays right in Vanderbilt's hands. JD Thompson, a lefty who's really pitched like an ace lately, has pitched incredibly well in at Park, got a 4.06 ERA, probably projects as a second-rounder in this year's draft. And then the Commodores have just got a stable of arms. I think if it's close, you could see Sawyer Hawks in the game late. He's a closer who's just a shutdown guy, gives up less than a runner an inning and a 34% strikeout rate. They've got 10 other arms that could, throw in that game too. And the Commodores lineup, it's not one that really jumps off the page, but they've got some really good players in there. Braden Holcomb, their power threat. He looks like an NFL tight end, can hit a ball 450 feet. Hillman left for them and really came on late in the year. Rustan Rigdon, their freshman leadoff guy, is a switch hitter who's a really good on-base guy and a very mature hitter for a freshman. And, Riley Nelson, probably their best hitter, lefty, that hits 3 for them. I think one of the most underrated players in the country. He walks almost as much as he strikes out. Brodie Johnston, huge power, potential first-round bat in a couple years. R.J. Austin hits out of the 2-hole. He could go second, third, fourth round this year. This is a team that I think 1-9 is pretty strong and really hit its stride late in the year.
Speaking of mature freshmen, Chris, how about Brodie Johnston? Best player in Hoover, won the MVP award for the tournament, obviously on the all-tournament team as well. Another name to watch out for in that Vanderbilt lineup. Now, to give Wright State some love, of course, best team coming out of the Horizon League by far. They are led offensively by the Horizon League Freshman of the Year, Hunter Warren, 342 average, 45 RBIs this year. Not a power guy by any stretch, but gets on base at a high rate. That's a name to watch out for. And then Braylon Bloomquist is the other name. He was first team All Horizon League with a 333 average, a 420 on base percentage, 35 RBIs this year. I guess the power for them comes from really JP Peltier. Sorry if I butchered that.
Peltier, I think. Yeah.
Peltier, thank you. He leads the team with 20 home runs this year. Cam Gilkerson, another one with 13 home runs. With that being said, though, Wright State's been phenomenal this year, but unfortunately for them, they're running into the best team right now in college baseball, the #1 national seed. There's just not enough there, to take down Vanderbilt. I don't think this one will really be close. Like you said, Vandy's pitching kind of plays right into their favor with how Wright State's lineup is. So give me Vanderbilt by a lot. Unfortunate for the Horizon League champs, but that's just the card they were drawn.
Yeah, Boston Smith, their best power threat too, 23 home runs. But again, a lot of these guys are lefties. And if you adjust for run rule games, Wright State was scoring close to 10 runs a game. So that's a lot. This is an offense that can really hit, which I feel like Wright State always can. They developed Tyler Black a couple of years ago as a guy that's been already in the show with the Brewers. But I think JD Thompson is a lefty. He's seen lefty power in this league. He's been really good at it at home. Vanderbilt pretty much is in the Tim Corbin. I'm not sure they've ever lost an opener in their ballpark. So give me Vandy in that one. Now we'll talk LSU, Louisville and ETSU in a Game 2 situation. Louisville is a team that's still 146 bases this year. They've got a little bit of power, 72 home runs. Tague Davis hit 18 of them. Zion Rose is a really good ball player for them, hit 11. Eddie King Jr. bashed 14. Lucas Moore, the top of the lineup, center fielder, really, really good ball player. He stole 46 bases and got on base at a 470 clip. So that's a guy you want to keep off base. And I think Louisville will probably go Patrick Forbes in Game 1. It is not a pitching staff with a lot of big-time arms like Louisville's usually got. This one's built more offensively. He's a righty. ETSU is a team that hit this year 116 home runs. It's mostly right-handed. They'll probably start 3 lefties. The home run totals. Cody Miller, 16. Same with Jamie Palmise, I think is how you pronounce it. We'll go with that. Excuse me if I botched it. Grant Gallagher hit 20. This is the team that was one of the top home run hitting teams in the country. Also stole 89 bases and called 8 times, so versatile. Doesn't strike out a ton, 18% rate as a team. Yeah, I think we could see a lot of runs scored in this one, and I would presume that ETSU will go. Carter Fink has been starting for them in Game 1s lately. Has not been great. So they do have a lot of guys that pitched a good bit of innings. Could be a combo game for them, but I think you could see a lot of runs scored in this one, especially if it's hot and humid in Nashville.
Yeah, two teams really built around their offenses. Louisville is a top 5 offensive team in the ACC. They're pitching, though, and fielding for that matter, down low at 12th for both of those in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I think you're right. They're going to probably go Forbes just because he's the biggest tank they have in that rotation, and he's been pretty good at times this year. I've been really impressed when I've seen stat lines of his. Impressed with him in Arlington as well. He looked very good out there. Another guy in their lineup, I don't think you mentioned him, Chris, Eddie King Jr. Was second team All ACC. This was a while ago, of course, but when I did watch this team in person back in February in Arlington, he stood out a lot, especially in one of their wins they had. So big stuff from that Louisville offense with the guys they have, but they're going to go up against another offense that I know is a mid-major, but just hits the ball for power like crazy. If you have it in front of you, this question is ruined, but do you know where they rank ETSU in the country in home runs?
I think they got to be top 10.
4th. They are 4th in the country in home runs this year, only behind Georgia, High Point, who's hit a bunch, and then Tennessee. They have 116 this year. I didn't think that they'd still be up there. I knew at the beginning of the year they'd been neck and neck with Georgia and Tennessee at the top, but there they are, right with Tennessee and Georgia, 2 really big power hitting teams. They beat Tennessee. We mentioned that too in a midweek matchup. So they've beaten some SEC competition before. Now it's going to be interesting how they fare against a really good ACC team that's also offensively minded. This could be double figures in runs for both teams for all I know. But guys to watch in the ETSU lineup, really the player of the year, Cooper Torres, really good hitter for them. Freshman of the year, Axel Melendez, also very good. I think there's a lot of talent on that ETSU team. I wouldn't mark it up as a for sure Louisville win, just because, again, like we've been saying, and like I've said 5 times now, it's just going to be offense on offense in this one.
Yeah, look, they played did ETSU very well against top-level competition. Georgia beat them in Athens 8-6, but Georgia was almost impossible to beat in that ballpark. Went into Lindsey Nelson and beat Tennessee at a time when nobody was winning. Lost a game first weekend of the season to Virginia Tech, which was playing NCAA tournament caliber baseball much of the season. Lost that one 8-6. Took 2 or 3 from a good Mercer team. Took 2 or 3 from a good South Carolina upstate team. I know that's not what Louisville played in the ACC, but I look at when they played good teams, they played pretty well for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, series win over Florida State. That was huge for them, getting their season in a good direction, getting them back on a good trajectory for the NCAA tournament. They, you know, I think you could say maybe a little on and off this year, but nonetheless, when they've had some good teams, they have fared pretty well a lot of the times. Especially, I go back to that first weekend of the year in Arlington, just because of how the competition was. Beat Texas at the very first game of the year, but do have that win to their resume, and crushed an Arizona team that just won the Big 12 title back earlier in the year. So This is a Louisville team who maybe wasn't winning anything ACC title-wise, but they were still a very good team in what is pretty much the second best conference in college baseball. So fascinating 2 versus 3 game, to be honest.
Yeah. And ETSU's got a couple of guys in Michael Harpster and Brady Frederick who look like better choices. Maybe that's what they go with. They put up better numbers. You know what? I'm just going to ride a gut feeling here. I'm going to take ETSU to win the first game and set up Vandy and Louisville in the winner. Set up Vandy and ETSU in the winners bracket.
I'm going to go with that too. I like the offense on offense matchup for them.
Yeah, and in that case, ETSU does have a little bit more pitching. You know, if it goes Harpster or Frederick, it's got one of those guys left, presuming he doesn't use them both. That's a matchup. Right-handers, I don't know that Vanderbilt's lineup's pretty balanced. I don't know righties or lefties really matter against them. Vanderbilt in that spot probably going to go Cody Bowker, who was terrific in about 4+ innings in the SEC tournament, and then Vanderbilt closed Connor Fennell, who's just there's nothing like him in college baseball. He's a change of pace, quick pitch guy. I think that's a combo for them that they can get through it on 2 arms, and when they are on, they've got tremendous stuff, and both of them are nearly unhittable. I think Bowker could give Vanderbilt 4, maybe 5 innings and then hand it off to Fennell to finish. So I think the pitching edge in that one, and even if it's Louisville, I think is still going to tilt pretty heavily towards Vanderbilt.
Yes, well, if it works out the way we predicted, I can tell you East Tennessee State has not seen a Cody Bowker and has definitely not seen a Connor Fennell. That's going to be trouble for them, I really think. So that would be bad news. And like you said with Louisville too, that'd be a handful for that lineup to face, even with the Zion Roses, Eddie King Jr.'s, the Tague Davises in that lineup they have.
Well, and I think at that point, I think even if Vanderbilt loses a game, if you get into war pitching attrition with Vanderbilt, I don't know that there's 5 teams in the country that could win that. And I don't think any of them are in this regional. Vanderbilt's got probably 13, 14, 15 arms that it can throw with some confidence. And there just aren't many teams that have that. That's why I like the Commodores to take the regional.
I do as well. Like, Wes May, if you watch this episode, you'll be very happy I'm quoting you like crazy. But they're the number 1 national seed. They won the SEC tournament. They don't need to be afraid of anyone right now, and especially not at Hawkins Field on opening weekend. Give me Vanderbilt, and honestly, give me Vanderbilt pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Vanderbilt advances to the second week of the NCAA tournament, where it could get Alabama, it could get Southern Miss, but whoever it gets, if it happens that way, it'll be in Nashville. And we'll be here to cover that one, along with everything else. I'll be in the ballpark for a lot of these games, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And,
playing in the game.
Not quite.
Not quite. They can use you as a reserve. Why not?
I don't think that'd be good for anybody. Maybe more somebody else than me. But in any case, looking forward to being there. I think this could be a fun regional. You really do have, a few teams that could cause some trouble, even for Vanderbilt. You can set the stage that even Wright State could be a problem in the opener, and either team certainly could be in games 2 or 3. But again, I think we lean on the arms, and Vanderbilt's just got so many more than anybody else in this regional. They're on a roll, hard to pick against them. We'll be picking every other regional involving SEC teams in this tournament. To get those, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you don't mind. That helps our analytics. God bless you. Have a great day. We'll see you again soon with more baseball content here at Southeastern 16.